emergency response package.
Good morning, everybody.
As provided by any state. Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom yesterday unveiling a $2.7 billion proposal to fight COVID-19 in the state of California. The funds in a state budget proposal would go to support hospitals, vaccinations, and more testing in the state. And if passed by the state legislature, the budget wouldn't take effect until July. But Newsom says it's still going to be needed then. An 8-year-old boy is alive after he fell from a 7th-floor window of a Florida apartment building, reportedly falling by accident yesterday morning at the complex in North Miami. The child survived the 7-story fall, but WPLG in Miami says he did suffer multiple broken bones, and he's still being treated at a local trauma center, but is expected to survive. And you can find us online anytime at usaradio.com.
The greatest radio shows of all time.
Frank Sonata as Rocky Fortune.
Classic radio theater.
Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
The story of Dr. Kildare.
The Pepsodent Show, starring Bob Hope.
The greatest radio shows of all time. Classic radio theater with Wyatt Cox. On this radio station or wherever podcasts are served, just by searching for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Law enforcement officers often lose their lives in the line of duty. Here's one who died on his way to the line of duty.
It happened Saturday morning around 7 in North Bergen. NorthJersey.com reports 28-year-old Julio Noriega was driving his Honda Accord north on Tonelli Avenue near 41st Street when he rear-ended the truck. The truck driver and 2 Good Samaritans pulled Noriega from the burning car, but he was unconscious and later pronounced dead. Noriega was a 2-year member of the North Bergen Police Department and was on his way to work at the time of the crash.
That's David Thomas reporting. The James Webb Space Telescope is now fully deployed, according to NASA. That space observatory, the size of a tennis court, was launched from a facility in French Guiana on Christmas Day. That telescope is now on its way to its final destination, which is orbit around the sun. 1 million miles away from the Earth. NASA says it was one of the riskiest and most difficult space launches ever, and it's going to be a difficult mission, but they're looking forward to finding out things about the universe they've never been able to find out before. And the Republican National Committee's narrowed its search for its 2024 presidential convention site. The short list of cities includes Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Nashville, and Salt Lake City. A decision's expected by spring. And for USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WVVF ownership or Untitled Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests.
270, enter. Come on. There we go.
I think you really have to.
Yeah, it
That
kind of sucks.
I mean, what's happening in Middleboro and surrounding towns? It's time for the Middleboro Weekend Review with your host, Joey Driscoll. Stay tuned for news, Middleboro News, here on AM 1530 WVBF. Hey, Joey, what's happening?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Middleboro in Review. It is the 9th of January. It is 2022. It is the second show of 2022. And good morning to Don.
Good morning, Joe.
How are you, Don?
Not bad, not bad. Nice brisk morning out there today, huh?
Yeah, nice cool morning, and one of those cool mornings that will turn into a nice day. Hopefully we'll be in the 40s today. Later on. So, how are you? How are you doing this week? How is this week?
For me, yeah, it gets interesting. We had the snowstorm on Friday, so I didn't deliver oil on Friday. I did all my oil deliveries for Friday yesterday. So now I have a doctor's appointment on Tuesday So I got to do my Tuesday deliveries today. So after the show, I got to go do 26 stops. But 'tis the season anyway. You really don't want to be, if you're out or you're down a day, you definitely want to, you want to keep up.
Yes.
Because the weather was good. And it worked out really good for me because I had 25 stops yesterday and I was able to do them all. I had to call one customer and I said, I can't really go down the hill. It looks too icy. And then he texted me about an hour later, said it's all set. And I went back and, sure enough, it was done. So it's good because driving around during a snowstorm, my boss always says, if our backs aren't against it, and it really hasn't been super cold, then why be out there?
Yeah.
I did a few extras on Thursday to make sure they were all set. He went through all the stops, made sure nothing really had to go for Friday, and then, so I was able to, not be on the road and be part of the problem. I think a few other guys came in and they ended up leaving early. But I drive from Middleboro to Quincy. That would have been at least 2-hour ride in the snow. But I guess it didn't start till 5 o'clock, so those guys got to jump anyway. But still, though, if you can work around it, you work around it.
Yes.
There's a saying that an old driver I used to work with: when it's dry, you fly. Because once it gets wet, now you're dealing with driveways, you're dealing with ice. It's a whole new can of worms.
Yeah.
You want to do it safe, but you want to continue because people still need the oil. So there's a recipe for everything, Joey.
Winter's here, folks, and it's gonna be cold for the next couple of days after today. Definitely a day to enjoy is today. Get outside if you can. Be careful. It's a little icy out there, but if you're able to maybe do some walking around outside later on today, definitely do so, because this week is going to be cold. Starting tonight, it's going to be really cold outside. So it's definitely one of the last good days we're going to see in a little bit, I think. One of the last warmer kind of days we're going to see in a little bit.
I think it's a seesaw all week. I know
Yeah.
The coldest day this week is going to be on Tuesday, and that's going to be really cold.
Monday is supposed to be pretty
yeah,
bad,
but
too.
No. Tuesday is supposed to be
Tuesday is supposed to be the cold day of the week.
I'm sure you'll be doing the weather pretty soon. Tell everyone what exactly it's going to be. But
yeah.
So we might beat. Who knows? Tuesday we might beat Driscoll, North Dakota. Who knows, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's looking that way. 24 degrees right now outside. It will be a high of 45 today. Possible rain in the forecast. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully it's going to be nice and sunny outside, or at least cloudy and no rain or anything else. So 45 degrees for the high today. Tomorrow, 29 degrees for the high, which is not good because there won't be much melting outside, but at least it won't be raining. 8 degrees for the low Monday night. Tuesday, again, we talked about Tuesday. Tuesday, 14 degrees with a low of 6. In Middleboro, it's the same deal, 45 degrees. It's the same deal. Tuesday, except for Tuesday, in Middleboro, it'll be 13 degrees with a low of 5. In Driscoll, Texas, 69 degrees, 74 for the high today, with a low of 47. In Driscoll, North Dakota, -10. -10 outside. A high of 0. Big donut hole for for the temperature. Big 0. So
I guess they didn't
that's
beat
cold.
us. I guess we didn't beat them.
That's cold. Very cold. Yeah. 9 degrees on Monday. 35 on Tuesday. So that's going to be a welcome sign there.
But Driscoll, North Dakota.
Yep, 35 degrees on Tuesday for Driscoll, North Dakota, which is going to be a welcome sign after today and tomorrow.
After the big donut hole, right?
Going to be very cold, yeah. Yes, absolutely. So the weather's going to be tough the next few days. Something that does help people through these, through different things like cold weather, or maybe having a tough time personally, is music. Me and Don were listening to some music. Coming into work today, we were listening to different kinds of music. Some Johnny Cash, some Hot Tuna was in there.
What's the name of that album? Can you remember that album name?
I cannot. No. I will say the songs. One of the songs we listened to is "Watch the North Wind Rise," and maybe someone, if anyone's listening, can call in and tell us what the name of that album is.
I know the album.
It's
It's just one of those weird albums to pronounce it, but it's one of their most popular albums. I think for the 70s.
Yeah.
If Jim DuPont was listening, he'd be like, "I know that," He'd know, especially in that realm. But not to change the subject, but I wanted to say, as far as the weather, if you have an elderly neighbor or anybody in need, anybody who lives by themselves, please check on them during this cold time, and make sure they're shoveled out and they got enough rock salt so they don't slip and fall. It's important because people's heats go down, and just try to be a good neighbor if you can, and keep an eye on people. This is a tough time, and Tuesday is going to be really tough. If you are traveling, put a coat in your car.
Several. Put two if you can.
Yeah, socks. Make sure you have boots, because if you break down, it's about 5 minutes, and in the car it's going to be freezing cold, and it's a long time. I mean, waiting for a tow truck, especially Tuesday, because normally when it's really cold, there's a lot of breakdowns. It's been a lot of accidents, so please slow down. I really didn't go out until what time did I go out on Friday, the day of the storm? We didn't go out.
Not really, no.
I shoveled. Grandpa plowed with the plow truck, and then I shoveled for 3 hours, dusted all the cars off, and then we took a ride to the hardware store in Middleboro and got some rock salt and got some lunch, and that's it. We're back home. What I'm trying to make a point is, I wasn't the problem driving around for no reason. All right, I talked to my brother. He's like, I hung out till 12 o'clock, and then I went out, and he has a few driveways he has to do. He has to do his own driveway. He has to do his shop driveway. He did that and went back home. So, if you don't need to be out during a snowstorm, don't.
Yes.
Stay home.
Absolutely.
So stay home and watch Scooby-Doo.
If they even air that anymore on
whatever.
TV.
That's just my saying. You know what I mean? Just relax. You don't need to be out going shopping for I don't know, toothpaste or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, it can wait. Let the plow, and the roads, they did really well, in my opinion. They've done really well. But hey, look what time it is. Guess who's calling pretty soon?
So, this is what I want to get to. That's why I mentioned the music. So, a good thing about music is it really helps people forget some tough things. Whether it be weather or personal problems, I think music is definitely something that helps people. And a good, this is a good, what do you call it? Segue into what we are going to be discussing today.
You better segue fast. He's calling.
When it comes to,
he's got to call.
When it comes to music, I know. We're going to be talking. This is a good segue. We're going to be talking to Ed Sutka of Musical Odyssey, and he's going to be talking about his show. He's going to be talking about his show some classical music topics as well. We're going to be talking about today's show, what is going on with today's show. That's what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to just mention, as a segue, just how important music is. And it really is. It really is important. Music helps a lot of people. And that is very important. And stay tuned for the next segment, because we're going to be talking all about classical music with Ed Sutka. It is 7:19, and we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to have Ed Sutka calling in just a few minutes, and then we're going to have, after that, quick sports segment, and then, All right, we'll be right back here on Middleboro in review on WVBF. And then, here you go.
It's 7:20.
It's 7:20, and he's calling in, yeah.
Is he calling?
Yeah. WVBF. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Good. Hope you're having a nice day.
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's kind of cold, but it's at least it's not raining, so we're snowing.
Hi.
Looking out my window, and there's little pieces of ice coming down, but also the sky is, beautiful sunrise type sky, reddish. So, we'll see how it develops.
Yeah.
Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Don. How are you?
Not bad. I was telling to Joey, who was doing a segue into you calling. I said, he's gonna call at 7:20 at 01. And, so you better get the commercials rolling. So he did. How you doing this morning, Ed? Good.
Good. I've actually been up for a while. I'm an early riser, so today was no exception.
Okay. How did you fare through the storm? Did you get everything shoveled out and everything? Everything cleaned up?
Pretty much. The cars have to be dug out, which is typical.
Yep.
Because the plows always come after all that has taken place, so they have very little to do.
Yeah. Right. No, that's usually the case. You get everything dug out and the plows come by and then you get out there digging again.
Yeah, well, that is the normal procedure.
Yep.
But sometimes not what you would wish for, put it that way.
No, I hear you. At least it was a lighter snow. It wasn't that bad. Could have been heavier.
It wasn't. Other places got hit harder, and it was fluffy as well. So.
Yeah, right. It was light.
Right.
It was light in the weight. I meant, Oh, that's good. So watch your steps, with the ice and everything, and hopefully today's warmer weather will get some melting done, but that's it. Now, after tomorrow, we're done for a while. It's no melting.
Yeah, so temperature is supposed to get up there later this morning, above freezing.
Right.
So, which is nice, because that will give me a chance to get a few things done.
Sure, yep. All right. We got a couple more commercials, Joe?
Couple more commercials, yes.
Okay.
About a minute or so.
Okay, commercial break time?
Yeah, we're doing a commercial break right now. Yeah.
Okay.
We're coming back in about 1 minute.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'll just start off the interview by asking how you got interested in classical music and how you got interested in doing a radio show of classical music.
Well, growing up, there was some...
We'll do that in just a second. We've got about 30 seconds. Yes, because we're going to be 10 seconds here. And we are back here on Middleboro in review here, and we are going to be talking to Ed Sutka here in just a second. It is 7:24 a.m. and let's say good morning to Ed Sutka. How are you this morning, Ed?
Good morning, Ed. How you doing?
So the first question I want to ask you is, how did you start getting interested in classical music, and how did you come up with the idea to do a radio show of classical music?
So it was around. I did not necessarily like it at first, or care about it at first. It was a very slow process. And the main way I actually got interested was developing a hobby in record collecting. And in those times, there was lots of record shops all over the place. So it was kind of easy to do, and the prices were mostly low. So someone who was, let's say, a student could afford it. And actually, it might be more difficult to develop that today because there's very few record shops left. But what eventually happened is that all the pieces that I didn't care about, I might have heard them in the background. Not all of them, I shouldn't say all of them, but many of them I really developed over time a strong affection for. And much later, I started doing live shows of a similar format to what I do now. But this is how I developed it. I did them at the Somerset Historical Society, which has a large collection of records, and also some of the Somerset Public Library. So that's how I developed the format. Saw what worked, what didn't work. But one thing I realized, it wasn't easy organizationally to pull those live shows together. And radio might be a better format, seemed more logical format. And I happened to get some good contact information, people in the old WPEP. And I won't mention anyone's particular name, but I met with various people. And lo and behold, they were willing to give me the support I needed to get the show going. And it has been, that was 2003, and as you know, it's still going. So that's kind of the in a nutshell answer.
Don, question for Ed?
Yeah, Ed. As far as classical, have you ever played an instrument yourself? Have you been interested in playing?
I should have probably mentioned that. I did take piano lessons, and I also took a few flute lessons as well. But my interest was in classical music was very solid at that time. And
how long have you been doing the show? I mean, we've been here since Joey's been here doing the show, which airs at 11 o'clock on Sundays, Music Odyssey, with Ed Sutka, every Sunday. It's for 1 hour. Since 2017.
Musical Odyssey.
Musical, I'm sorry, yeah.
Right. No, it's slipping into some of the literature, so I just I'll clear that up if there's any confusion about that.
Right.
It is Musical Odyssey. But the first one was December 2003. Was the first program I did on the air.
On WVBF or other radio station?
Well, it was, VBF was called PEP at that time.
Okay, all right.
Right. So there was a short break as one station went off and the other station, as VBF took over, where he was not doing broadcasts. But other than that, I've done them continuously since 2003.
Wow. That's a long time. That's a pretty much commitment. That's pretty good. As far as how many CDs do you do? Obviously, it's a CD a week, pretty much. So you're talking 52 CDs for a year. But how long does it take you to put a CD together? How long does it take you to do all the editing and all the narration and all that?
Well, I use a rather painstaking process. I don't use a computer at all, which people just look at me when I tell them that, but that's true. And what I do is I go from my source, which might be LP, might be a CD, it might be tape. I go from the source to the final CD. And in the case of the commentaries, I always record them on tape and then transfer the tape to the CD. And it can be very painstaking. Sometimes I get all these things right on the first try, but that's very unusual. Usually I have to do retakes. And sometimes I can, if I'm not having the greatest day, I can do one commentary. It takes 7 tries to get it right. And I try to use recordings that are in decent shape. Because that would be sort of like a self-inflicted error if the condition of the recording became a factor. There's a few I have led through that were not perfect, but try to uphold as high a standard as possible.
Yeah, you do a really good job, and your narration skills are unbelievable. You're right on mark.
Thanks, and I should say, I know I've said this before, but I'll say it so the public can hear it, that Joey's doing an excellent job of, in essence, being the producer and keeping everything organized, and there's very few things I have to worry about. Things that I used to have to worry about, but I haven't worried about them with Joey.
You know what's funny, Joe? When Joey first started, right, Tony Lopes hired him, and he said, look, okay, if you do anything, okay, Musical Odyssey, I'm sorry. Musical Odyssey goes on at 11. Not 11:01, not 11:02, 11. Joey's like, okay, I'll make sure of that. So that's good because, I think classical is all about timing, all about precision.
It is.
In my opinion. So, I mean, if you're doing a classical show and it goes on late, well, where's your precision there, I guess? So I guess you have to be a stickler.
Timing of the CDs, I give myself a 2-second window. I don't let them go over 57 minutes. I don't let them go under 56 minutes, 58 seconds.
Okay. So you got it right down to
so it is very precise to get them. If it's, and I will do a retake if it's over or under.
Okay.
That window.
Right. It's funny too because me and Joey went and saw a show called Out of This World, hosted by Lenny Nimoy, and I guess they did it with the Boston Pops, but we did it with the Minneapolis. What was it? The Minneapolis what, Joey?
Symphonic Orchestra.
Okay.
I think it was, yeah.
Yes, it was in 2014, and they did all the sci-fi classical stuff as far as Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, Superman, Star Trek, all of it. And Leonard Nimoy was the MC. And that's the only time I really see anything classical, because I'm into sci-fi, so isn't Joey. So that was a tremendous experience that I'll never forget, seeing that.
John Williams is famous for writing the Star Wars music.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, he drew on a classical piece called The Planets, by composer of The Planets, Gustav Holst. And if you put on the beginning of The Planets, there's about an 8-minute section called Mars, the Bringer of War. And it's actually very similar to some of the music used in
sure.
I think I said Star Trek, but I didn't mean Star Trek.
Star Wars, right?
Star Wars.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
No,
it's very similar to Star Wars.
Sure, I heard that too, and it's funny too because there was a band called Emerson, Lake and Palmer that did that.
Yes.
Okay, which was really good. That got me into. I listened to that, and then I was like, wow. And then I started listening to, the Mars Bringer of War, the classical versions, and.
Palmer used music by Aaron Copeland.
Okay, yeah, right.
The piece was, the composition was called Rodeo.
Right, yeah.
And it's very good. It's one of the, best, Copeland was one of the best American composers.
Right, yeah, no, I mean, growing up, yeah, I mean, I grew up with that. I'm 54, so, I mean, in the 80s, I was, in my teens, so that's what we were trying to listen to, and trying to, because we, my age, you grew up with the rock, but, I mean, you also want to explore more than what you have, and when I heard that Emerson, Lake and Palmer, then it kind of got me interested into classic to a certain point. But the movies really take you away. Superman, Raiders of the Lost Ark, all the orchestras that we're so used to growing up with is just embedded in my mind. As far as me growing up as
and a lot of the rock musicians actually like classical music, but it's not box office for them.
Right.
So they don't necessarily play it on their concerts. But if you ask them what you play at home, what you like, they often say classical.
It's funny too because I like a band called Deep Purple, and Richie Blackmore is a classical trained guitarist, and John Lord is a classical trained pianist. And they did classical before they went into the rock. But if you ever look back on any John Lord classical stuff, it's pretty impressive. So again, we go listen to the rock and we branch out. It's not like I didn't grow up in a household that had people listen to classical, so I had to find my way into it from a different angle.
And Geezer Butler, in interviews, in documentaries, has said that his bass work, one of the songs that he did for his band, one of the first songs on the first album that he did for this band, he based his bass riff on Gustav Planets, which was huge.
Yeah, and if you listen to that first movement from the Planets, Mars, the Bringer of War, there's no doubt that's the similarity is very, very strong with what John Williams did in the Star Wars movies.
What was your favorite as far as the John Williams? I mean, like I said, you know so much more classical than I do. I know pretty much what I know, but I mean, as far as who's your favorite composer? Who is your absolute favorite that you can listen to over and over and never get sick of it?
Well, that is the true test of greatness. But if I was told I could only take music by three composers to a desert island,
that's a good. Yeah.
I would take Beethoven, I would take Johann Sebastian Bach, and I would take Mozart.
And that's it. Those three composers and an island, and you'd be happy the rest of your life, correct?
Well, if I was limited to three.
All right, yeah.
Now, if I was told I could take 10, I would take 10. But if I was told you could only take 3, sorry, I would console myself by taking those 3 who, in my opinion, are the 3 greatest. But of course, not every piece those 3 composers wrote is great.
Right.
But at their best, they are great in a way that you don't get exhausted with them. You don't get tired of them. There's always finding more. And I think that's the true purpose of what classical music is all about.
Oh, sure. And, I mean, I listen to, Joey, you listen to it every week, pretty much, and...
Yep, I do, yes.
So, I mean, you get to hear it every week, you get to hear the show, and I try to listen to from out and about. But, it is down to a science as far as the way you put the CDs together, and your narration is just truly remarkable in my opinion. It's discipline. That's all I can say. It's absolute discipline. So.
Well, I appreciate that, and I had to find my own way. I mean, there was no one who really schooled me and how to do it, but it was just trial and error, and then over time, I did get better at it.
No, it's excellent. Joey, can you talk some more? Can we get a
commercial
to take?
Yes.
Are you up for talking some more? Because this is
absolutely. I am. We got about 5 minutes before we take a commercial break. Okay. But yes, I am up for talking some more if you would like to do that. Another question I have is over the 18, 19 years now that you've been doing the show. What are some of your favorite shows?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
It's
Yeah,
hard
he's
to say. That's
scratched his
like
head.
to me, it's like asking a parent, well, what are your favorite children? So you have a strong
Yeah,
attachment there.
that's a tough question, dude.
It's very tough. I'd have to think about that one, and I don't think I could. I don't know if I could come up with an answer. Maybe not.
That's. And now, hey, Joey, you have the CD in front of you. What's this today's show?
So today's one is Classical Marches Part 1, and it'll have some Beethoven on it and some other stuff. Tell us a little bit about Classical Marches Part 1, what we'll hear today.
Well, do you have the CD there?
Yep, it's right. Yeah, it's right in front of me.
Since you have the CD there, why don't you tell me what's on it, and then maybe I can make a comment or two.
So we'll be hearing two pieces from Beethoven, Piano Sonata Number 12, and also Turkish March from the Ruins of Athens. There will be some other good stuff too.
I can make a comment about the Piano Sonata piece because that is also known as the Funeral March Sonata, and it's very it's music of great nobility. As you know, that's what to me a good funeral march should bring forth, that feeling of nobility. Not just sadness, there's an element of sadness, of course, as well. But and the Turkish March is very short. I think it's less than 2 minutes. It's a much different side of Beethoven. It's actually it's very cheerful. You might think you hear Turkish March, you might think very military sounding, but it doesn't really come across that way.
And also, we'll be hearing Military March Number 1 as well. You were just mentioning something like that as well.
And again, when you hear Military March, you might think about very military-sounding music, but it's not. It's very charming. I think I say in my commentary, these are Viennese soldiers, so they are more full of charm than they are warlike. It's one of those pieces people recognize it even if they don't know exactly where it came from.
And we'll also be hearing Pomp and Circumstance, which is a very popular one.
Yes, you're right about that, because the famous graduation ceremony march is in part of the Pomp and Circumstance March Number 1 by Elgar. And the whole piece is not dominated by that theme, but it comes in the middle of the piece. So if you start and you want that graduation march music, it won't come right away, but roughly halfway through, you'll hear it. It's beautiful.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we return, we are going to finish up with Ed Sutka, ask him a few more questions, and we'll be right back here on Middleboro in Review for January 9th, 2022. We'll be right back here on Middleboro in Review. We are going to have Ed Sutka for a few more minutes, and we'll be right back here on Middleboro in Review. It is January 9th, 2022.
Is your mic off?
My mic was off for like 30 seconds.
Why?
I don't know. Anyway, I fixed it. We're good. I just said whatever I needed to say over. Right. Alright. 100. Still there, Ed?
Yes.
Okay, we got maybe one or two more questions. I'll ask one question, and Don will ask another. A few more minutes, and
great
we'll let you
interview,
go.
Ed. Awesome. I didn't know what I was going to ask you because I don't know. I don't know too much about classical music, but I think we had having a lot of fun here this morning.
Yeah, it was kind of fun just to bat ideas around. I know that when I listen to your show, the banter between you and Joey, it's probably, to me, it's the most interesting part of the show. Just the way the two of you work things out and bounce ideas off one another.
Yeah, maybe in the future when if this virus ever gets away, if you ever want to come into the studio live, we can just kind of, it'd be great if you're up for that. And maybe hopefully soon, hopefully when things calm down a little bit, maybe whenever it happens, that'd be great if you could do that,
Yeah, I would like to do it. I think we do have to work around COVID.
Yeah, I see at some point when hopefully after we'll be in the rearview mirror, we can sit down and you can be in the whole hour. That'd be awesome. Nothing beats it being live, in the studio. I mean, because it's the whole communication thing's better. You got eye contact with the guest. It's really nice. But this has been a really good telephone interview anyway, as far as first time doing it.
Yeah, there's always first time, a little bit of jitters.
Right. That's exactly. Because this is the longest I've ever talked to you in my life, other than meeting you a few times. You know what I mean? So that's you feel good because I can kind of relax. You know what I mean? Now a little. How are we doing? Almost done, Joe?
Yeah, we got about 1 minute. One more commercial, and then you can ask the next question,
and then
I will finish up with. I'll finish up with asking about a few more different marches on today's show. We didn't talk about the wedding march, I don't think. So I'll talk about that one. And there's a couple more here as well. And that's what we'll finish up with. And then I'll finish up with if people want to get in contact with you, how they want to do that. I know that you do that on the show.
Email as part of my program, part of the broadcast, but I'll give it right now.
Oh yeah, he does it at the end, and he's very.
OD.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing that.
JUNO.com.
Yeah, when we get back on the air.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Hey Joey, leave your mic on this time, all right?
Yeah.
Why'd you shut your mic off?
What?
Why'd you shut your mic off?
I shut my mic off, so
I can still hear you though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can still hear you. You were loud.
I shut my mic off, so Facebook.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going out of your way for Facebook,
and then sometimes I forget to shut the mic.
Yeah, but I mean, you're screwing up for the sake of Facebook.
I know. I understand that. All right, 30 seconds.
Right. My mic's on, right?
Yeah, we'll be in like 30 seconds. I don't put it on while we're on commercials. I shut them off because, yeah, it's a good idea to do that. All right. So does it go back up? That's gonna go back up. That's gonna go back up. That's gonna go back up. 3, 2, and 1. And we are back here on Middleboro in Review. It is the 9th of January. And, Don, you got a question for Ed?
Yeah, Ed. What really got me into classicals as far as is the sci-fi movies. And I'm not sure if you're a big sci-fi guy as far as the movies, but I'm going to ask you maybe your favorites as far as what might be your favorite as a sci-fi. I'm going to get Star Wars, Star Trek.
I think I would have to give it to Star Wars. Really for the reasons we talked about before.
Right.
I've always liked the planet, spectacle stuff holds not just the first movement. The whole thing is very good. So that's a piece I can come back to. Not constantly, but periodically, I do come back to that piece, and I always enjoy it.
I'm going back to what you just said a little while ago about, not having a favorite. It's just my kids.
Yes.
Battlestar Galactica, okay, is unbelievable. Okay, I'm not sure if you ever heard that, the Battlestar Galactica. I'm sure you have. I mean, the theme for Battlestar Galactica, the original Star Wars, all the Star Trek, as far as Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Next Generation, all the movies, Superman, Close Encounters of the First Kind. It just goes on and on and on and on. It's just, I can't pick a favorite. But what really, growing up with Star Wars was fine, and I loved the music, but it was the Battlestar Galactica theme that always just blew me away. Because I had to watch that show, I had to run home, and I had to make sure I was in front of the TV at 8 o'clock every Saturday day or whatever day it was on, and I had to watch it. And I used to fight with my brother tooth and nail to get the TV at 8 o'clock. It was mine on Saturdays because I wanted to hear that theme. I wanted to hear the opening of that. Are you familiar? You're familiar with that, right? The original Battlestar Galactica theme?
You know, I can't pull it out of my brain at the moment, but probably if I heard it,
No,
it would ring a bell.
that's unbelievable. You can dial it up on YouTube. It just, I don't know. It's just, that's my favorite as far as the movies. It's just, because it just, to me, and like I said, music always, you always have a special heart and a special place in your heart as far as where music's going to put you, and memories and all that, and that was always something that just kind of cornered me. I mean, I loved it all the other, and then I got into the classical after, you know, discovering these shows. I mean, the more traditional classical or whatnot, but that's to me my love as far as the movie classical themes. Joey?
Another thing I see on today's classical marches is pomp and circumstance, which we talked about earlier, but also Bernstein, who is, I've heard of him before. He is an important figure in marches in general.
Yes, and on this particular program, I feature Bernstein as a conductor, not his music. A lot of his music is, practically all of it, is still under copyright. So I could not include most of his music without getting permission, which may not be able to get. But I do use him as a conductor because he was a very fine conductor.
In another aspect, you might be a copyright lawyer too at the same time, because you have to produce programs that are not protected with copyright infringements, correct?
Yeah, and actually I did a lot of work with Tony about that to sort of find out the rules of the road. But the short answer is the rules of the road are restrictive. So essentially, if it's before 1927, piece was written before then, I can take whatever I want. But if that's not the case, there's probably going to be roadblocks. So that is a determining factor in some of my selections. I know certain things are not available for use on the program, but there's still a great trove of things that are.
That's good when you can get around the lawyers. That's a great thing. It puts a smile on my face. We did a tribute last. Actually, it's funny too, but we did a tribute to the station nightclub victims last year. Actually, it happens to fall on a Sunday this year in 2022. But Jim Larkin, he found us a song, "Amazing Grace," that wasn't copywritten, so we can play it on the radio. And we checked with.
Yes, that song goes back a long time. I can't give you the exact year, but it's pre-1927.
Right. But I know he said, well, you got to be careful because some artists, they copyright their version, and he found a version which we were able to play on, the air, which was great. But
I'm very aware of that issue.
Oh, he sure is. He puts a show together 2 hours a week, and he has to. I mean, the guys. I mean, like you said, you guys are like lawyers, in my opinion. You're ASCAP lawyers or EMI lawyers. You're better than them because you can put a show together and get around all the red tape.
Yeah, there was no ASCAP until Victor Herbert came along, and he saw opportunity there. So more power to him, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess the lawyers got to get paid too, right, Ed?
Right. Well, Victor Herbert is known as a composer of Babes in Toyland and other pieces. It's not generally known that he actually was one of the founders of ASCAP.
Right. No, it's good you get around it, but you definitely have to do your homework. Right, Joe?
Absolutely. And one other one that we will be hearing today is the Wedding March.
Now, who was the composer for that one? Because I think there may be more than one Wedding March on that disc.
Grieg?
Yes, that's what I thought. So Grieg wrote a music to accompany a stage play. Stage play is known as Peer Gynt, and the author of Peer Gynt, approached Grieg about adding musical section to it, and the Wedding March is all about what Peer Gynt did on his wedding day and the whole lead up to that. So if you saw it on stage, it would fit very well with the music. But it's a very nice piece of music just to listen to.
Well, you got to be listening to it too. I got to work today, so I'm gonna be tuning in on the oil truck when I'm driving around delivering heating oil. I got to work later. I gotta because it's so cold. But hey, Ed, thank you very much for calling in. It was a great, we've been on the air for a while. I could talk to you until like noontime if I wanted to. I mean, it's just, oh my God. Joey?
Yeah, thank you, Ed, for calling in today. It was a pleasure. And tune in, everyone, to Classical Marches Part 1 on Musical Odyssey with Ed Sutka. It will be on at 11 a.m. this morning.
And you got to let him give you the...
Oh, and yes, how can everyone get in contact with you, Ed?
The best way is email, which is musodsy@juno.com.
And you do mention that at the end of all your programs, too, as far as getting in touch with you.
Either at the end or the middle.
Okay,
Either one.
right. So if you listen closely, and you have to listen closely, right, Joe?
Yes.
Very closely.
Very closely, yep.
Good, all right. And you'll know all that. Well, thank you very much, Ed. Happy New Year to you, and I'm so happy you called. This was a great interview. I had a lot of fun this morning.
Well, I enjoyed it as well, and enjoy the rest of the day.
You too, thank you.
And that is Ed Sutka, and you will be hearing him later on at 11 o'clock.
That was awesome. What a great interview that was, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was
man,
awesome.
I had fun.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure what I was going to ask him or whatnot, and everything just fell into place as far as... it's just like having fun. I mean, where'd the time go? It's like, 8:56.
All right, so today in history, 1788. Guess what state's birthday it is, Don? Take a guess. Take a guess. Yeah, take a guess.
Massachusetts.
No,
Delaware.
Connecticut.
Oh, Connecticut. Oh, okay, I should know that.
It becomes the 5th state to ratify the United States Constitution. 2007, the iPhone is born. Steve Jobs introduces the original iPhone at the Macworld keynote in San Francisco on this day in 2007. So the iPhone has turned 15 years old today.
The eyes have it, right?
Yeah, so that's another thing on during the week. Tune in to Jim DuPont.
I love what he
where
says.
The eyes have it. Yes.
I love how he...
Ideas, information, and what's the other I? I don't know. Informative. Yeah, I'm not sure what the other I is.
You gotta tune in to get the 3 eyes.
Yes.
I love when he says that.
Birthdays. We have Richard Nixon. His birthday today is January 9th, 1913. American commander, lawyer, politician. 37th President of the United States. 1944, Jimmy Page, English guitarist, songwriter, and producer. And he was the guitarist for Led Zeppelin. And J.K. Simmons' birthday today. He was in a lot of different things. Spider-Man. He played J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man in that trilogy from 2002 to 2007. He was in the movie about the Boston bombing as well. Marathon Day. What was the name of the film?
What?
About the Boston bombing. Hold on one second.
Patriots Day.
Patriots Day. Yes, that was the name of the film. Yes, Patriots Day.
Yep.
And he played really good in that movie.
That was a good movie.
A great movie.
John Goodman played Ed Davis.
Yes, he did a really good job.
Do I got 30 seconds to say something real quick?
It's 8. So no.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, whatever. We'll talk about it.
It's 8.
Okay.
And I want to thank everyone for listening to today's program, and we'll be back next week, January 16th, 2022. And have a great week, everybody. Stay safe on Tuesday. It's going to be very cold.
Yeah, stay warm and be smart.
Yeah, stay warm. Don't go out if you don't have to. And
stay home and watch Scooby-Doo.
Yes, yeah. And we'll see you next Sunday, January 16th, 2022. Bye-bye, everybody. All right. Good stuff.
All right, dude, I gotta go. What a great interview that was, huh?
Yeah. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great week.